It's a miracle the kid's alive.
He may experience mood swings, agitation, confusion.
Can you smoke in here?
I'm afraid you can't.
Name's Floyd. Dr. I told me that you were a writer. Would you consider writing my biography?
Biography?
What I'm proposing is that you come and stay with me and my family until you get yourself back on your feet. Aloha, Jackie.
Jacqueline, Floyd's second wife. She was a successful attorney.
Lily.
Lily was Floyd's daughter from his first marriage.
Here's my boy, Eddie.
Edward.
He reminded me of myself.
Hey. Is that a dead rabbit?
Yeah, pretty much.
Emory, good morning. Jeff in Las Vegas.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Thanks for talking about big gold brick.
Yeah.
I was telling Brian the other day when I interviewed him that, man, I had a movie that challenged my senses like this one. I told him I actually watched it twice because there was so much going on with this movie. I had to, so I thought, am I missing so much? There was just so many things going by. It was just
yeah.
So would you say this is an experimental comedy? Would that be fair to describe Big Gold Brick as that?
I mean, there's truth to that for sure. I definitely see it as a comedy. I was experimenting a lot, acting in it. I was experimenting with a lot of different things to try. I think Brian's a fan of experimental films. I'm a fan of smaller independent films, and I think Brian has spent a long time cultivating a really interesting, unique point of view on life and art and cinema. And I just think it's awesome that he's getting to express it, because I think it's really dynamic. And I just think it's great that I got to be a part of it, Yeah.
Well, let's setting up the film. Andy Garcia plays Floyd. He hits Sam, your character, with his car, and then asks him to write his biography, which like most people do in a hit and run, right? So, but there's this bizarre obsession that Floyd has with Sam. He practically adopts him and gives him so much attention. And I think that's where the humor comes from, because I think not only is Sam confused from being hit by the car, but just like, what am I doing here, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, and I also think that's what he needs, but he hasn't figured out how to accept that within himself. Like, I think he needs a friend. I think he needs a mentor. I think he needs someone to force him to write. Like, I didn't think that Samuel was doing that much writing before Floyd hired him to write his biography. I think he would go out and about town and say, "Oh yeah, I'm a writer. Like, I'm a writer," but I don't think he was doing that much of it. And I think it was a painful, frustrating process for him. And I think Floyd gives him an opportunity to explore his voice and explore his talent. That's what Big Gold Brick means to me. It's a big old brick is some kind of is having some kind of talent or self-expression that's somewhere in you, but you don't know how to get there, and you need other people to help you discover that.
And he doesn't even use a word processor. He uses an old children's typewriter.
I know.
Like, it brought back memories for me when I was in junior high using a typewriter like that. It was a nightmare. And I also thought about Floyd's life. I mean, it wasn't even discussed what it was supposed to be. He's supposed to write his biography, and it's like, well, he didn't sit down and regale stories of adventure or It's just, so that was kind of bizarre. But I was so surprised how Andy Garcia was so funny. I mean, he plays it straight, but man, he's got good timing.
Yeah. He was great. He's a really funny guy, and like, by the time me and Andy were working together, everything that the character needed to feel, that Samuel needed to feel about Floyd, I felt about Andy. Like, he's a great actor. He's a great guy to work with. I remember one time we were just sitting together in a library, because like we were shooting in the library. It's still an independent film. We didn't have big trailers to go back to, so we were just sitting in a library. I think it was the NBA playoffs, and we were talking about basketball. We're talking about sports. And, it's one of those things where I'm like, all of a sudden you're like, what's going on? I'm here in Toronto sitting in a library with Andy Garcia talking about sports. and in 5 minutes I have to go shoot a scene. You know, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
That's awesome. And this movie has a dream cast, you know, Andy Garcia, Oscar Isaac, Megan Fox, Lucy Hale. Were you intimidated? I mean, I'd be like, wow, I'm here with Oscar Isaac. I'm sitting here with Andy Garcia, you know, or did they kind of diffuse it and make you feel comfortable?
I mean, it was a little bit of both, you know, it was a little bit of both. One thing that was really fortunate for me was the first week of shooting was mostly the dream sequence. So yeah, Lucy was there, I think, for a little bit, but a lot of it was just me running around and getting to discover the character it was just like kind of me and Brian kind of getting to discover the character. And so then by the time other people came in, I had a little bit more of a touch point to work on. It's always intimidating, you know. Oscar was there for like just 1 or 2 days, and his scene, he does a lot of the work in that scene. And I remember there was a lot of times that I just got to stand off camera and watch him do his thing. And it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
You remind me of Dr. Strangelove. That's what, you know, and talk about, you know, working with famous actors. You know, Samuel worked with Santa Claus. Tell me about his obsession with him.
I don't know, man. Again, that's Brian's world, and I'm just living in it. You know, I remembered that I was really looking forward to get to scream at Santa. That I was really looking forward to get to do that. It was a lot of fun, man. It was a lot of fun. You know, it's rare that you read a script and it's like he starts to scream at Santa Claus and like a doll of Santa Claus, and Santa Claus starts to talk back, you know. One of my favorite ADR sessions, because I do the voice of Santa. That's my voice, but I just kind of, I messed around with it. And it was like, we had done all that like proper ADR that we needed to do. It was just me and Brian playing with how we're going to make Santa Claus sound. And so that was fun.
And even Santa was creepy looking, and that doll was freaking me out too, even so.
It was.
And you know, the character of Eddie, I think he was my favorite in the whole movie. He just cracked me up with doing so little. So I mean, he was funny as hell.
Yeah, I mean, it's always great. And that he's a serious actor out in Toronto, man. Like, he's done a lot of work, you know, and he really knew what he was doing. And very sweet young man. And it was great to get to, it's always fun working with younger people. And, you know, my first movie, I was 17 years old. And when you're a minor, your parents have to drive you to and from set. So I knew what it was like. I mean, he was younger than 17, but I knew what that was like. I had gone through the same thing when I started, and it's just inspiring. You know, it's inspiring to see good, talented, sweet young people who are starting careers in this business.
And were you wearing a wig for the character?
Yeah.
And uncomfortable because it looked pretty intensive.
You get used to it. The first couple of days are hard. And then it becomes a thing where Mondays are it's a little frustrating, but by Fridays you're used to it, you know.
And with a movie like this, you know, when you're reading it, it's different than what plays on screen or even the final result of what makes people laugh. Was there anything in the script that you thought, or something when you saw it with an audience, you saw it with people like, wow, that got a big laugh? And I thought that,
I haven't seen it with an audience yet.
No, okay.
No. We're gonna start that this week. We're doing a couple Q&As this week and then next week. So it'll be I haven't seen it in the theater yet. I've only seen it on like a laptop and on a TV, you know. I mean, I've seen it with a couple friends just sitting around, but not like a proper audience. So I'm excited to see, what happens.
That's going to be a treat, man. I'm seeing you see this and find out and take notes and find out. I think what I found funny, somebody else won't find funny. You know, there's so many different types of humor in this movie, but I just love how abstract it is and just how funny it is. So congratulations. And
thank you.
Appreciate you talking to me, and good luck.
You too. All right, have a good one.
All right, thanks, buddy.